Imagine how broken it would be if you could guarantee loot within Escape from Tarkov's PvE mode. Imagine the potential for essentially making money within this game. Well, you can, and that is exactly what today's video is going to detail, and how you will never lose money on any key that you open ever again, provided that it isn't a ridiculously expensive key where it is never possible to get decent loot out of. Whilst I've got you, if you want to make sure to like this video, if you do enjoy Escape from Tarkov PVE and you want to see some more, that would be a massive help to the channel and help it spread to more people and help me out. So let's jump into how to help you out. Let's talk about the Dorms Marked Room key and why it's important that we're specifically looking at Dorms keys, at the reserve keys in today's video. Now we're going to do a full run of a Dorms Marked Room key just to show you the kind of top tier, the top level, and how you can do this yourself and do it on every single one of your raids, except from on streets. And that is the key point, because of the fact that streets is a server-based game mode, which means that this will not work on streets. So if you open a key on streets, you've opened it. If you then disconnect out of the lobby, if you go ahead and try and get out of the lobby, you are going to have to reconnect back in or lose all your stuff. And so you can't do it on streets. But that's the reason why some of these key cards, some of the expensive keys, have been ridiculously overpriced for the last amount of time within the Escape from Tarkov's PvE mode, because people have wised up for this. So just to prove it, we have a Dorms 314 marked key with 7 out of 10 uses left on it, just so that you guys can, well, I can prove that this actually works. We're going to go ahead and you see the money in the top right hand corner. We've got 719 million rubles at this moment in time, and so I'm just going to go ahead and buy us a couple of dollars. So let's put in some weird number like $289, and you'll see my money's gone down and we've gained some dollars, so I can prove that this does actually work, because if we were to then go back and look at our gear and stuff, we could go ahead and buy it and that sort of thing. But yeah, we're not doing that. This actually does work. So if we jump into a customs raid, and I'll join you when we actually spawn in. So we've spawned in to the customs raid. We actually spawned very close to where we would normally want to spawn, and that is right next to the dorms, because we want to get as close as possible to essentially the Dorms Marked Room so we can go there and loot it and double check what's in it, and then of course get into why this is one of the most broken methods possible. So the whole thing about this kind of, I guess, bug or whatever it is essentially that whatever you do in a raid is locked to that raid. And so in order for you to essentially make progress on a server-based game, you will always have that log. To BSG have a log of everything that you do in the raid, because you're on their server, so it's constantly updating and everything like that. Whereas on a local-based server, it basically doesn't update until the end of the raid. So what means is we can come into the dorms right here, and we can loot up this room. It's actually a decent room. You have some ammo spawns and a safe, which is one of the rooms that I'd highly recommend actually jumping into. I think it may be Dorms 214, but it has some stuff that you can grab from the room. We can have a look. Yeah, it's 214. Cool. And then we move down here, and essentially there can be a little PMC in here, or scav or whatever that can be here, as well as some food spawns on the table. For those of you wondering if you can make some more money when doing this and get some rare loot, then you want to check in here. And then over here you have a computer spawn, so you want to duck as you come in and then check the computer. And we got ourselves some cord and some wires, so that's fine. It's just extra money. And then we duck as we come out, hopefully. Although we're just stuck. Cool. And then we go over to 204, which is another room. So you need a key for this one. They're super cheap. They're like 20k or something. Then we open up both of these. And we've got ourselves like another safe and essentially can get a bit more money. So this is if you accidentally get taken out during your raid and maybe you lose your gear, it will just pay for the insurance basically. And if you don't get taken out, it's just extra money. And you want to check over here as well. Looks like there's a stim. Cool. We'll take that as well. And then what we do is we jump over and we'll make our way upstairs. You want to always check upstairs because there can be Rashala upstairs, and there is also PMCs that do spawn inside, and you can hear one coughing. So, not ideal. We'll double check this room. They can be in any of this room's PMCs wise, and there can be one just behind this door, so you always want to check. And then over here, and then in the bathroom as well. And once you've done that, we now have access to the dorms key. And so this is our 7th use key, so we should have 6 uses once we've opened up the room. And we go inside, and what we'll do is just check the actual key use. So you can see we are down to 6 uses, so we've used one of our key uses on this room, and we'll have a quick check around for the key card. So looks like we got ourselves a labs access key card, we got ourselves a Veritas, some weapons which are okay, and then we got ourselves some rubles and an Uzi. So we can top up how much we would make off of this, and I can guarantee you it is not 1.5 million, which is the price of the dorms marked room key. And so, well, what would be perfectly balanced? I mean, I'd love to reset this room and go back in without using my key use so we can try again. Well, I guess all we have to do is press Alt F4 and, oh, would you look at that, the game freezes and then the game exits, and then we can load the game back up. That would be really, really broken if you were able to, you know, not count the raid as long as you're not playing on streets. And be able to essentially guarantee any room in the game, provided you're playing on PVE and not on a kind of server-based server, to be able to just go straight back into the game and then try out your key again. That would be very balanced, wouldn't it? And I guess maybe it doesn't work, but as we're loading the profile data, we might as well just check that we lost all of our gear, or, you know, that we can reconnect to the raid. Because I'm sure that that's how it would work. You know, you can reconnect to the raid that you were just in, that you've used your dorm's marked room key on, and I guess that's kind of how this would work. And we've still got all of the gear. Oh my lord! Oh, and all of the rubles. And oh look, we've got 7 out of 10 uses on our dorm's key. And if we go down here, you'll see that we've got those 289 rubles that we purchased. So. This seems a little bit broken. I guess we could go back into customs, I suppose, and maybe open up the room again, and we could see whether or not there's a key card in there, and then maybe we could accidentally Alt F4 again, and if there isn't a key card, and if there is, we could maybe just run to the extract after putting it in our back and guarantee ourselves 4 million rubles every single time that we do this. Now you might be wondering, okay, 4 million rubles per raid, that would equal like 40 million rubles over the course of 10 keys. If you could guarantee yourself actually key cards in every single room, that would be rather nice. How much profit would that be? Well, that would be a nice little 22.5 million profit over what we paid for the dorm's 10 out of 10 marked room key. And what can be even more balanced about this whole thing is the fact that you can actually do this with the reserve keys as well. So you could use 10 out of 10 reserve keys every single time, guaranteeing yourself at least an expensive item where you make your money back on the reserve keys, and then you get yourself a dorm's marked room key and do the exact same thing, netting yourself a very cheap and actually profitable, getting yourself a free dorm's marked room key, essentially, from the fact that you've got all of the RBVO keys, and then also being able to make a ton of money on the actual rooms themselves when you open up the dorm's marked room key. So, yeah, pure profit, I guess. And even if you didn't want to do that and you just bought yourself the Dorms Marked Room key, how much money would you make then at 17.5 million? Well, yeah, the 22.5 million profit in 10 raids of actual getting the keycards. But of course, you don't get keycards every single time. But how often do you get the keycards? How likely are you to actually get the keycards? Well, from my experience of kind of running this, since the patch and since the loot nerf that was done, of course the loot nerf was the kind of big thing. The patch just made the keycards less valuable, so this was exponentially way more useful behind. I mean, I didn't really ever use it because it just wasn't worth my time, and I was doing lots of other content and trying out the different maps and playing how I wanted to play. But if you did it previously, you could guarantee 10 million rubles if you got yourself a green keycard, for example. Obviously, now it's significantly less. It's about half of that, but it's still very, very profitable. And so if we go up here, we open up the room, we check down the corridor, we open up this room. Now, you could open up these rooms after you've cleared the rooms, but, you know, it's down to you whether you want to do that. We've got ourselves some money. And really, I open these rooms beforehand just in case we do get taken out, so we make ourselves a bit of money. And that way, you know, if you do get taken out, it covers the cost of insurance, as I said. And then we run down here. Want to check over here. Scavs can be down here. We also want to check in this room, as there's often PMCs over here. This is that rare spawn that I was telling you about. And then we make a left over here. There can be PMCs in this room. So you can see right there. There's one PMC. There's another one. And they have like a weird spawn in here. They can also be further back, so you want to always check. But yeah, I believe that they were PMCs. Yeah, they were. Cool. So we could loot these up. We could take the little slick with us because that's actually worth quite a bit. Mainly because of the level 6 plates that you get in the slick. And of course you can loot up their bodies and get some nades if you wanted some nades as well. So we can get that. We can get the ammo that's on them if they had decent weapons. Now these two didn't, but that's fine. Of course you can get yourself some healing items as well. So that is why you kind of want to loot, because before you go up to the room, just in case you do get taken out, as there are quite a few PMCs that make their way over to the dorms itself. Now we want to pack some mags, because there can be some upstairs, and Rashala can also be spawning in the dorms. So if he does spawn in the dorms, you want to make sure you've got your full ammunition, because yeah, that would be very bad if you didn't. So sounds like someone else is in here, which means we're going to have to try and take them out, which is fine. We can load the Uzi Pro. Not entirely sure where they are. Do a quick check to the left. Sounds like they could be round the corner over here. And there's one. This could have been another guy that was part of that squad, which is fine. We can loot him up. That's another PMC for us. And then we want to check up here. And as you come round, you want to be checking all of these doors just in case, because they can come up here and they can be in some really weird spots, the PMCs. So just checking around. And then in here. And then you want to make sure that you listen for footsteps. And then open the door, because you don't want to get taken out as you're opening the door. Because if you get taken out in the game, you do actually lose your stuff instantly. You can't like Alt F4 as you're like keeling over. It doesn't work. So yeah, that definitely doesn't work. But if you didn't get what you wanted, we can repeat the process over and over and over again to the point where we can guarantee ourselves the loot. Now, there's one thing that should be kind of stated here, is that although this is a way to guarantee yourself rubles, and it is a guarantee to get certain items in the room without costing you anything, or at least guaranteeing you profit in the rooms, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way to make money on Tarkov. And of course, it's quite boring, essentially knowing that if you don't get the thing in the room that you're in, that raid is completely pointless. And so we didn't get the dog tags from those PMCs that we took out. We didn't get any XP, and essentially it didn't count count whatsoever, which is the whole counter to this. It's why I don't do it, and why I literally wouldn't bother doing it, because I just don't find it that fun. And of course, that's 2 raids now that we could have gone in and farmed Lighthouse, for example, and picked up some items that probably would have been worth more than if we were to actually pick up, you know, 2 full raids trying to open up marked rooms and hope that we get something and keep going and going and going until we get eventually a key card. And that's kind of why I think that this method is very, very good, because you can guarantee, but at the same time, it is a very lengthy process to be able to go through every single one of those 10 uses on your keycard. As you can see here, if we go back, we've lost all of those dog tags, and we have our 7 out of 10 dorms marked room key again. So that's kind of how it works, how it's actually working in the game. You can essentially just Alt F4, and then you're out of your raid, didn't count, provided it is not on streets. This does not work on streets. I can't iterate that enough, or reiterate that enough within this video. It doesn't work on streets. If you try it, it will just disconnect you, and then when you come back on the game, it will say reconnect. That is literally the only map that doesn't work as of right now. It works on labs, it works on everything. So enjoy making a ton of money, or at least guaranteeing you stuff that you want out of the rooms without wasting some of your keycards. So a little counter to BSG's attempt to make the keycards kind of 10 out of 10 uses, and of course a little counter to spending and losing money on your dorms and various different marked keys that aren't on streets. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and of course like it for more, and I'll see you there. Goodbye.